Well, first of all, it looks like they have announced the time now. It'll be 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central, obviously. It was a good week for us. We had a tough match against Northwestern, ended in a 0-0 tie. We had to cancel the game because of snow in the 74th minute. That was Wednesday night. And some pretty cool senior pictures, as you can imagine, at the end of the game and the flurries. And turned around and had to go to Columbus this weekend and play a tough Ohio State team, and fortunate to come out on top, which allowed us to get the 7th seed, which is obviously a lot more beneficial for us rather than playing the 8-9. So we'll be heading to Penn State. Excellent program. We had a good game with them a couple weeks ago here in Madison, and I know the guys are looking forward to getting in the tournament. We've had some good success over the years, and yeah, it was a good week. It was a good result. It was nice to finally get a W.
Questions? Todd?
Is the snow out just kind of your season this year? Is that a little bit of the way it's gone for you? Senior night and it gets cut off from a snowstorm?
Yeah, and it really came down to player safety. It was getting unsafe. We could have blown the lines off, and I've been involved in many NCAA tournament games and actually Big Ten games where you have snow and you've just got to continue playing. But I think we made the best decision for the student athletes on the day. They always want to compete. God love them. But I think when they got to the locker room, they realized that it truly was getting unsafe. The ball was just going to pick up snow. It didn't make sense to continue. And yeah, it's just been an interesting season in a lot of different ways. And, as I always say, adversity, you get stronger through it. And there's no question we're just a lot stronger group than we were a month and a half ago. Getting some real nice performances. Guys have moved positions. There's been a lot of big asks of the group. And to see them get rewarded a little bit is massive for any group of athletes. And I know they're excited. We hadn't had a win in conference, but we had 3 ties, some good ties, tying Maryland, tying Northwestern, and then tying Michigan at Michigan. That's what allowed us to kind of escape that 8-9 game. So, 4 of our 8 games, we have gotten results. We've had a couple poor performances, but for the most part, we've been playing everybody tight. And as I reminded these guys, everybody's 0-0-0. Going into the Big Ten Conference tournament, so we're looking forward to it.
Brian?
How do you match up with Penn State? You mentioned you'd played a 1-goal game against them earlier.
They've got some tremendous players. Aaron Malloy, their senior midfielder, I think he's got 8 goals. I was actually just on the conference call for nominations for all Big Ten. I think he's got 8 goals and 5 assists. He's as good a midfielder as there is in the country. They're feeling confident. They went down 2-0 at home last week to Maryland and turned around and beat them 3-2. They've won a couple games in overtime. They're a good team. They're feeling good about themselves, and they should. They're the 2nd seed in the Big Ten tournament, which is never easy when you look at the quality out there. So it will be a battle. As I said, we lost to them 2-1 at home a couple weeks ago. I think whenever you get a chance to play the same group again, guys get excited about that. That's the cool thing about a conference tournament.
Brian?
Did you nominate any of your players, John?
Yeah, and I think you have to be realistic for how we perform this year. I'm not a guy that, when you're in the bottom half of the league, that thinks that you deserve 8 to 10 guys getting rewarded. We have some great players in this conference, and you hope the other coaches realize that we do have a couple really special performers and some guys that have done a great job over a 4-year career and hopefully get rewarded for that. But I'm also, like I said, I don't put up 6 defenders and 5 forwards in any given year. There are great players across this league, like there are in all sports in the Big Ten, and you hope it's an excellent peer group that I'm fortunate to be involved with, and you hope that the guys that you did put forward get serious consideration.
2 entirely separate questions. So who do you think deserves it? And secondly, do you sense a confidence amongst your team right now that, hey, we can do something here?
As I said, I don't the other coaches get to vote on our guys, so I don't like to really say who I nominated because I think feelings can get hurt in that process. It's not for me to decide. I think all the players know where they stand with me personally in terms of their performances. Yeah, I think we gained some confidence, and we had some travel issues on Saturday, and that happens. In college sports, you're trying to get all the way to Columbus. We had a delay out of Madison. It took us a lot longer to get there. And, I remember getting up Sunday morning and I thought, daylight savings or, I felt like I had flown to Europe. It was sitting around an airport for a lot of hours. And I can only imagine as a performer what that's like. I just got to get up and watch the game and hopefully, say the right things before before the match and at halftime. But, we weren't sharp in the first half. We got outplayed, but we were, I keep going back to these words. We were just tough. We were resilient. And I said to the guys, as poorly as we played in the first half, we only gave up really kind of 2 looks at our goal. It wasn't like they were, all over us in a way. They were in terms of territory, but we were just tough. Our 2 center backs battled. They both took yellow cards early in the game. And then at halftime, I looked at the guys and I said, you know what, guys, I've been doing this long enough. I know it was a strange travel day. I wasn't going to give you a crutch before the game started. Let's be honest, we didn't play a good first half. Time to step up a little bit. And the game flipped. Anyone who would have been there, I think, would say there was no question the Badgers were the better team in the second half. We scored a goal. We had some other chances to score goals, not to say they didn't. But I think that's also, as you go through a lot of things like we have with the group this year, the truthfulness with which you can speak to each other, especially me with them, that, earlier in the season, I might have kind of given them the hairdryer treatment at halftime, that it wasn't good enough. But there is a confidence within this group, and we know each other, and we know who we are, and, it was a very easy, my assistant coach, associate head coach, Keith Tiemeyer, said, your halftime speech, I didn't know where you were going to go, and you just backed the guys, understanding what they went through in terms of getting to Columbus, and we kind of got our sea legs, and sure enough, we came out, and we were very good in the second half. I thought there was no question who the better team was, and I think it was a deserved result. I'm not sure they would think that, but I think most people from the outside watching the game said it was a game of 2 halves, and Wisconsin was a better team in the second half and found a goal, and then they didn't give one up. That's part of playoff soccer as well. You don't want to give up goals. So I was very pleased.
Anything else for Coach Trask?
Just want to once again compliment men's cross country, Mick, his staff, and obviously the student athletes. An amazing run. They're always top notch. So congrats to those guys.